First up this evening, the District Superintendent of Police and the Chief Vigilance Officer of Tirupati have been transferred, and two other officials have been suspended after that stampede in Tirupati that left 6 devotees dead and over 40 injured. The rush for what's believed to be an auspicious darshan of the Lord at Tirumala through the Vaikunta Dwara or on Vaikunta Ekadasi, which is tomorrow, turned tragic after the stampede last evening. Like every year, lakhs had gathered to get tokens to view the idol of the Lord through that sacred entrance called Vaikunta Dwara. This is allowed each year for a few days starting from Vaikunta Ekadasi, one of the most auspicious days in the Hindu calendar. The chaos unfolded near the Vishnu Nivasam temple, according to reports in Tirupati, where the authorities had set up counters to distribute tokens. Thousands had lined up at those counters, including one that was set up at the MGM High School there. And the stampede broke out when a gate was opened to assist, according to initial reports, a distressed woman. The crowd surged forward, leading to chaos that left 6 people dead and several injured. Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu and Deputy Chief Minister Pawan Kalyan visited Tirupati and met some of the injured. These are some of the initial reactions that came in through the day.
This was used as a holding area by the police to hold more than 2,500 people last night, because there were 90 counters at different locations to distribute more than 1 lakh tokens, so that those devotees will be able to visit or have the darshan as part of the upcoming Vaikunta Ekadasi occasion. And at one point, a woman waiting here suffered a health issue and she kind of collapsed in this area, because of which the police who were here had to open up the gate and let the lady go out for medical help. But at that time, hundreds of people who were waiting here, they all rushed outside, and this is exactly where the stampede took place, killing 5 people here. And now local residents have put up a banner here expressing their condolences. And the plan of the police was to let the people out in batches, so that in groups people will be able to go to this barricaded area to stand in a long queue and collect the tokens from different counters in the adjoining school. But when the gate was opened to help the lady, whether knowingly or unknowingly, is it a mob fury or people genuinely thought it was their turn to go out, they rushed outside, triggering a stampede, killing 5 people. And now the family members of those who lost their lives, they're asking tough questions. They allege that, number one, there was no adequate police presence at this point here to regulate the crowd. Secondly, the ambulance came 20 minutes late, and that, they say, was another reason why it led to loss of lives. But the district collector has denied these allegations. He says enough police was deployed and they were actively regulating the crowd. Secondly, at every counter, ambulances were stationed. Because of the heavy crowd here, it took 20 minutes for the ambulance to reach. So this raises several questions in terms of adequate planning, in terms of adequate crowd management, in terms of providing access in a crowded location like this for ambulances to reach the spot in the case of an emergency. Now an investigation has been ordered, but the big question, will anyone be held accountable? Would lessons be learned? At the moment, Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu has visited the ground zero. He is also visiting the affected people in hospitals, after which they expect some kind of an announcement. But certainly many lessons ought to be learned to make sure in a famous temple like this, where for every season lakhs of devotees come, this could be averted. We are at the Ruva Hospital at Tirupati, where several injured are being treated, and the remains of those who lost their lives have been kept at the mortuary. And in fact, a short while ago, I spoke to a family who lost their mother, actually. In fact, let's go and talk to them. They say this happened at a school where the counter was there to give tickets, and it's here the crowd turned uncontrollable and it led to a stampede. And this gentleman, Venkatesh from Visakhapatnam, has lost his wife. In fact, his son and the wife had come to collect the tokens. I'm so sorry about your loss. I'm so sorry. What exactly happened?
వాళ్ళు అసలు 12 గంటలకి అనౌన్స్మెంట్ చేయాలి, 12 గంటలు వదులుతానని మా ఆవిడని ముందు పెట్టాను. మేము కొద్దిగా వెనక్కున్నాం. వెనక్కుంటే వాళ్ళు మైకిలో చెప్తారు 12 గంటలకు వదులుతాం మీరు వెనక్కి వెళ్ళిపోండి. ఈలోగా 8 గంటలకు వదిలేశారు. ఒకసారి పులవమని మా ఆవిడ ముందు కాదు పులవమని పడిపోయారు. మా ఆవిడ పడిపోయింది నాకు తెలియదు. కానీ ముందుకి మా ఆవిడ లైన్లో ఉందని చెప్పేసి మేము లైన్ కట్టుకున్నాం టికెట్ కోసం.
विश्व प्रसिद्ध तिरुपति मंदिर में जिस प्रकार की दुखद घटना हुई और 6 श्रद्धालुओं की मौत हुई और 40 से अधिक लोग घायल हुए, उसके लिए मैं खेद प्रकट करता हूं और ईश्वर से प्रार्थना करता हूं कि उनकी ये आत्मा को शांति दे। और फिर मैं आपको वायदा करता हूं और भरोसा दिलाता हूं कि भविष्य में इस तरह की घटना न हो, इस तरह का पूरा प्रयास किया जाएगा। चूंकि वहां पे पुख्ता इंतजाम होने के बाद भी बहुत ज्यादा संख्या में श्रद्धालु इकट्ठे हो गए थे, इसकी वजह से ये दुखद घटना हुई।
The stampede that has happened today is very unfortunate. We extend our heartfelt condolences to the families of the people who have lost their loved ones. This incident is a mere and a sheer mismanagement of the TTD and the present ruling government. This government, instead of focusing on the safety precautions to be taken and instead of taking care of the facilities that have to be extended to the pilgrims, all these days they have been indulging in activities like throwing mud on the opposition for no reason at all.
Well, a tragic start to what's an extremely auspicious time in Tirupati and Tirumala. Obviously, lakhs of devotees will continue to throng the temple town and the Tirumala temple over the next few days. Joining me this evening, Sam Daniel, who's reporting from Tirupati, as well as Pattabhiram Komreddy of the TDP and YSRCP Satish Reddy, all of them here this evening with us on the Southern View. But first to you, Sam Daniel, while there is focus on the stampede and this tragedy, obviously there are still lakhs of devotees there in Tirupati and Tirumala. What's the sense you're picking up from the authorities in terms of immediate arrangements and perhaps measures to avert, further crowding in those areas?
Very Raghav, in terms of the distribution of the tickets or coupons for the tokens for devotees to be part of the Vaikunta Ekadashi Darshan is over. Now the challenge for authorities would be to ensure a peaceful and incident-free congregation at the Tirumala temple over the next 10 days, because the issuing of the tickets, that task is over. And what kind of changes would they bring about, both in terms of issue of tickets for other festivals, and what kind of changes would they bring about on the hills, Tirumala hills, to make it more safe? That's something we'll have to wait and watch. But heads have started rolling. Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu briefed the press a short while ago and has said the DSP in charge of this area has been suspended, along with the Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam's Goshala Director Harinath Reddy. Besides these two, there are also transfers, including the SP of Tirupati and the Chief Vigilance Officer of the TTD, Sridhar, and the JEO, Gautami, have been transferred. And whether any lessons would be learned, whether they would make sure this kind of an occasion does not repeat, this kind of an incident does not repeat, that's something we'll have to wait watch. But certainly the family members, eyewitnesses who lost family members in this stampede, they raise three important questions. One, the deployment of police was very, very less compared to the large crowds that gathered here. Secondly, ambulance services came very late, 20 minutes. And thirdly, there was no regulation of the large crowds. So these are the points from which authorities may have to investigate and learn lessons. Lastly, many also ask why not we make this process online so that there is no room for this kind of a repeat. But temple authorities say that could actually deny the opportunity of this kind of a darshan for those who are not tech savvy, who are not yet having smartphones or internet at their homes. So they want to make it
Right.
democratic and give this kind of an opportunity as well for them to come and stand in the queue so that they will be able to make it. But these are questions, and we'll have to
Right.
see how this would, the authorities would make sure this would not repeat in the future.
Right, important questions there that have been raised, and obviously the question now is also about the lessons that have been learnt or what could have been done which was not done. Mr. Pattabhiram Komreddy, what's the response to the questions that Sam Daniel has raised, which is what those families of victims in the tragedy have raised? They say that the preparations were perhaps not enough, given that this is an annual phenomenon and each year you have lakhs of devotees. What's the prima facie case and where did things go wrong?
Raghav, good evening. Good evening to you and my friend on the panel today, Mr. Satish Reddy, and all the viewers of NDTV. Yeah, Sam Daniel is extensively covering this from ground zero right from yesterday, and he had raised certain questions and also he had presented certain facts. One of the fact that he himself had said just now is the whole thing happened because the police there were trying to rescue a woman who suddenly fell sick. I mean, the park which we are all seeing right now is the holding area for the pilgrims before they are allowed to enter into the queue line to take the tokens. So one woman in the holding area got seriously sick suddenly, and the police there are trying to rescue her, and that's why they've opened the gate. So when the gate was opened, the people who were there behind her, they thought that the gates were open for issuance of tickets, and all of a sudden there is a huge surge and a stampede happened. So that is the basic primary reason why this unfortunate incident had happened. And secondly, the government machinery immediately reacted. You have seen the ministers going yesterday night itself, and today the Honorable Chief Minister himself went there in the morning, and he had conducted a detailed review, and action was taken on few officials, and few officials were suspended, few were transferred, and an ex gratia of 25 lakh was announced. So all those things have happened. But yes, the officials who were suspended today should have been more cautious, should have deployed more personnel. So there is a lapse on part of the officials who were suspended today. That is the reason why the government had acted. And the one more important question Sam had raised today is why can't this be made online? Here I would like to make one point, Raghav. Till 2022, the issuance of tokens for Vaikuntha Dwara Darshanam is online. It is the previous government which had introduced this physical issuance of tokens. Till 2022, everything was online. Today, even a vegetable vendor is using
Satish
online
Reddy.
payments, Raghav. So it is the previous government which has removed the online system and had started issuing these physical tokens. And from 2022, these kind of things have been happening.
Satish Reddy, why don't you respond first? Satish Reddy, please respond to this. Are officials just being made scapegoats? Should much more have been done?
100%.
That's the question now.
100%, I'm not satisfied, and the government should come up with more responsibilities. Sacking one DSP and one Goshala by MD or something. So it makes no sense at all. We feel from our party side, the Chief Minister should take responsibility, the Deputy Chief Minister should take responsibility, the JEO, the EO and the TTD chairman should take responsibility, and all of them should resign. Because I just wanted to remind you, a couple of months, there was a debate regarding the laddu or contamination of laddu, wherein the very spokesman who is there today he had the audacity of blaming the Chief Minister for some contamination in the ghee. Today, when such a stampede has taken place and when 6 lives have gone, is it not the responsibility first to resign and then talk about all this?
Did Jagan Mohan Reddy resign when 35 people died in Roya Hospital due to lack of oxygen?
This is During COVID, when you had the audacity of blaming a Chief Minister
Did Jagan Mohan Reddy
for
resign
some
then?
contamination in the ghee, When
Mr.
6 people
Satish
die,
Reddy, I'm asking a straight question. Did Jagan Mohan Reddy resign when 35 people lost their lives
Okay,
in
one
Ruya
after the other.
Hospital
One after
due
the
to
other,
lack of
please.
oxygen
I was
during
patient as long
COVID?
as you were talking.
Did Jagan
Please
Reddy
listen to
resign
me.
then?
Mr. Raghav Garu, please let me talk, let me finish. Then let him answer.
Mr. Komareddy, just
I was
1 minute.
particularly
Let
was
Satish
talking.
Reddy finish his point and then you can respond to it. Please go ahead, Satish
Okay.
Reddy. 30 seconds, finish your point.
I just
then Mr. Komareddy will respond.
I just wanted to remind all the NDTV viewers, a couple of months, some issue was raised regarding the contamination of ghee that was used in the laddu. The very spokesperson who was here, the chief minister, the deputy chief minister, all of them blamed the contamination to YSRCP leader Jagan Mohan Reddy, who was the then chief minister. Today, 6 people have lost life, and you put the blame on one DSP and some Goshala MD. How can they be responsible? You have appointed the
Pattabhiram Komareddy, just respond to that.
JEOs. You have
Satish
appointed
Reddy, 1 minute. Let's get
non-competent
Komareddy's
Yeah,
response.
Raghav, in the same Ruya hospital, where unfortunately 6 people have lost their lives, 35 people lost their lives during COVID due to lack of oxygen, due to the negligence of Jagan Mohan Reddy's government. Did
And I
Jagan Mohan Reddy
just
resign
wanted to
then?
remind
let's
you,
keep focusing
earlier
on this
also,
tragedy,
Did
sir,
Jagan Reddy
please.
resign then? When 35 people
No, no,
died
no,
in
no,
Ruya
no.
hospital due to lack of
No,
oxygen, did Jagan Mohan Reddy resign then?
no, Mr.
Had Jagan Mohan Reddy
Mr.
resigned when
Raghav Garu, I
35
just
people
wanted to
died
remind you
in
one
Ruya
more thing.
hospital? Please listen, Mr. Satish Reddy.
I'm just requesting. I have just the last
Please
1
have the
minute.
patience
I
to
have
listen.
just the last
I
1
have
minute.
listened
Let's
to
not
you.
play the blame
I
game
have
here.
listened to you.
I have 1 minute
When
left,
Jagan
30
Mohan
seconds to
Reddy
each.
resigned,
First to you,
when
Mr.
35
Komareddy.
people died
What
in
are the
Ruya
lessons
hospital
for
during
ensuring nothing
COVID?
like this happens
Can
in
you
the
answer this
future?
question?
Very quick.
So stop this political blame game now.
No, you should be responsible. You were the persons who have
No,
started all
you
this
just
blame
tell me
game.
what is the
Jagan
lesson
Mohan
learned
Reddy
from.
resign?
Audacity
Did Jagan
to
Mohan
talk
Reddy
about
resign when 35 people
contamination of
died?
ghee and linking up to
That was
Jagan
criminal
Mohan Reddy.
negligence.
Is it not your
That was criminal
responsibility today?
negligence then. How can you demand now?
Your criminal negligence.
Lack of
Your
oxygen in
negligence
a
is not only
hospital
today.
killed
Even in
35
earlier
people.
Godavari
And
Pushkaralu
you have the
also,
audacity
people have
to
seen 30
demand
people have lost
resignation
their
now?
life.
Okay, I
Due to
think
the
we'll
negligence
have
of
to.
Chandrababu
I've
Naidu.
still not got an answer to the question that I've
35
raised,
people died.
which is what
Did Jagan
lessons
Mohan
have
Reddy
been
come to
learned,
your hospital?
what concrete action
Did
will
Jagan
be
Mohan
taken
Reddy
to
visit
ensure
your
it doesn't
hospital
happen again.
when 35
It's
people
unfortunate.
lost
If
their
you have
lives?
10 seconds each, can you tell me, Mr. Komareddy, what lessons have been learned?
See, Raghav.
Quickly.
Raghav, today the Honorable Chief Minister conducted a detailed review. Whatever lapses are there, those lapses will be covered and we will ensure that these things do not happen in future. And one last point is, when 35 people died in Ruya hospital due to lack of oxygen during COVID,
No, let's
Jagan
leave
Mohan
that.
Reddy didn't even
Let's
visit the
focus
hospital.
only on the tragedy
Jagan
today,
Reddy
sir,
didn't
Mr.
even visit
Komareddy.
that
I'm
site.
sorry, we're
And today
completely
they
run
are
out of
talking-
time.
They're saying,
I'm completely out of time on this conversation. Obviously, the
please give me 10 seconds.
exchange will play out,
No,
but
please
it's a
give me 10
tragic
seconds.
incident in an auspicious occasion, in an extremely important shrine. We're completely out of time on this conversation. I'm sorry, I'll have to leave it right there. The face-off over a temple tragedy will continue.